Okay, everyone, let me know that if you can hear me very clearly. If you can't hear me properly, do let me know.
I cannot hear you properly.
Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So today, because I am at home and I'm not at office, so there might be some disturbance in the background. So don't worry about that. All you need to do is that if you anywhere feel that you can't hear me properly, do let me know. Okay. Okay. So do you guys remember what we did in the last lesson? Who can explain whatever what were the things that we did yesterday? Who can explain that? Or can just outline the things that we did yesterday?
Sir, I didn't hear you. Can you tell again? My volume was muted. So can you tell again that you were speaking?
Yes. I am asking that can you please tell me
I downloaded
the- can you give
Scratch,
me
but I didn't know how to use it.
Hiba, can you please quiet? Let me listen to the sir.
Okay.
see I am asking any one of you can tell me what were the things that we discussed yesterday so that I can get to know if you guys know what we did yesterday. Can you
We
find out the
understand.
things that we did?
We understand the scratch and blocky games yesterday.
Okay. So I had shared 3 links with you yesterday. One of code.org, second one of Scratch, the third one for Blockly.games. So I explained you maybe that what are the things that you need to do with everything. I also told you about how to download Scratch. Other than that, I don't think that there was anything that we further discussed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's move towards today's lesson. Today I have a short presentation for you guys that I want to share with you. And during this presentation, we will also be learning about the difference between programming and coding. Okay. So we will let to get to know that what is the difference between. Yes, Rida, you want to say something?
Yesterday I didn't came, so I don't know what you guys did.
No problem. No problem. Just to give you a recap, yesterday we learned about 3 things. We learned about the 3 websites, the 3 resources that we have to use in the coding classes. So that's what we did yesterday. So
Okay, thank you.
no problem. So let me share my screen with you guys. So today I'm going to share with you a very important topic, a very basic topic if you want to learn coding. So there are 1 to 2 things that you should be very clear about. So this lesson is basically about that. It deals with a very important feature. That feature is what is the difference between programming and coding. So as you can see, as you might be able to see on my screen, this is programming first lesson. So I have made this small presentation, maximum 4 to 5 minutes long. And through this presentation, I'm going to explain to you.
Sir, what do you have searched?
Nothing, nothing. It's not for you.
What do you have to search?
You don't have to search anything. You just need to see if you can see my screen. Can you see what is on my screen right now?
Yes, I can see.
What is on my
Yes.
screen right now?
It's a programming first lesson.
Yes,
Programming
programming versus coding. So
coding.
there are 2 words that we very commonly hear when we talk about coding. So some people could say that we want to learn programming, But some people would say that we want to learn coding, and people think that both of them represent the same thing. But there is a little difference between programming and coding. All of you have heard the word coding before. I'm sure about that. But all of you, have you heard the word programming before? Or is it the first time that you are hearing it? Those who are hearing it, who are hearing this word programming for the first time, raise your hands. Good. Okay. Who else? No one? So everyone else knows what programming is. You have already heard of that word before. So who can tell me what is programming? Is there anyone who can tell me what the word programming means? Yes, Rida, you want to say something, bache? Rida,
We can make things like animation.
using programming?
No, we can like make things,
Using programming.
apps like
Yes.
gaming.
Yes. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about what is the difference between programming and coding first. And then I will give you a very common example of how the programming process works. So let's look into this. What does it have? So programming versus coding, it's a very small presentation, has a very few slides, and all these slides are self-explanatory, so you can either read it or listen to what I'm trying to convey. So first slide is what is the difference between programming and coding. When we go towards their definitions or what do they represent, we get to know that programming is generally also known as problem solving. So it's basically a process through which you can solve problems. Okay, programming is generally a process that you can use to solve problems. Yes, is there anyone who wants to say something? So programming is generally also known as problem solving. So programming is problem solving. So if you follow a process through which you can solve a problem, it basically means that you are doing programming. Okay. So we are currently not talking about a real life problems. Currently, we are talking about the problems that we have to solve through computers. Like you have to make a game, you have to make some software. So that basically would be a problem that you would be solving, right? Okay. So the problem solving process or the process that solves the problem, it is a bigger process. When we say the word process, it means that there would be many stages of that process, right? Like building a house or constructing a house is a process. What happens in this process? During all this process, what happens is that you buy some land. That is one stage. On another stage, you get a design for your house. On the third stage, you start constructing your house. On the fourth stage, you start putting finishing material like paint, fans, bulbs, lights, everything into that. So that is basically a process. And in one process, you have many stages, more than one stages. So a process is anything that has stages in it. Like when you are playing a game and you have to go from first level to the last level and kill the boss at the end of the game so that you can win this game. So there would be like many stages in that, and you would be following the process step by step to complete your objective. So process is basically like that. Problem solving is also a process. It has many stages. It has many steps. You follow these steps to solve a problem. And when we say something about coding, Coding is just one of the many steps that we follow during problem solving process. So as I said earlier that problem solving is a process and it has many steps in it. Out of those many steps, one step is called coding. Coding is one step of the problem solving method. If coding is one step of the problem solving method, what are the names of the other steps? Does anyone want to know that? Who wants to know that? What are the names of the other steps? Coding is like one step of the whole bigger process. It is a big process, but coding is one part of that. Do you know what are the other parts? No, no one knows that. No problem. So the other parts of the problem solving method are these. Do you see coding written somewhere? Do you see this coding written here?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So problem solving method is a bigger process and it has these 5 steps. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. So first step is identifying the problem. Second step is understanding the requirements. Third step is writing an algorithm. Fourth step is coding. Coding is also the second last step. After that step, we get testing. Okay. So let me give you some examples of all these things. Let's create a table here in Microsoft Word, which will help us to understand what are all these steps and what do we do in these steps. I will take an example from the real life, and through that example I'm going to explain you how does this problem solving method works. I hope that you can currently see Microsoft Word on my screen, and I'm going to insert a table here, a table like that. So
कुछ नहीं
so can you guys hear me very clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So see, problem solving steps, I write it on one side and I write the example on other side. So I am making a comparison between a real life problem and how it relates with the computer problem solving process. So the first step in the problem solving method is identifying the problem. So first thing that we need to do before you can start solving a problem is to identify the problem. We cannot solve a problem unless we have identified what the problem is. The second step is understanding the requirements. So after you have identified the problem, the next step that you need to take is understand what are the things that you need in order to solve that problem. I will give you a real life example from that, and it would be very clear for you to understand what does that mean. So the next step is writing an algorithm. Have you heard of this word before? Algorithm?
No, sir. No.
No.
No,
This is
sir.
so as this is a new word for us, let's highlight that. I have to discuss what is this word. What does the algorithm mean? The next thing is coding. After that, we come to the last step, and that is testing. Okay. So now let's take an example from our real life how these things are used in computers. I have a scenario for all of you. The scenario is we are alone at home. I would not say we, I would say I
I
am
cannot hear you.
at home and I am feeling hungry. I do not have biscuits or chips at home, so there is no food ready to eat for me. So, but
Sir,
yes,
is this an example of this identifying the problem? Is it an
no,
example of it?
it is just a scenario. You know what a scenario is? Scenario is like a situation. Now we will break down this situation and see how can we solve the problem from this situation. There is nothing, there is no food ready to eat for me. What I can do is to make
Sir,
something.
can you speak louder?
Just a moment, just a moment. Okay, so see, there is a situation here, and I would start explaining you the whole process, this whole problem solving process through the help of this situation. So the situation is something like that, that I am alone at home, or you are alone at home, and you are feeling hungry, but you do not have any biscuits or chips at home, and there is no food that is already prepared so that you can just go and eat it. So what you need to do is make something for myself. So the problem here is, so there is nothing that you can readily eat, nothing already prepared that you can start eating just by eating it. But what you can do is make something for yourself. So you think that I should make a sandwich so that I can eat it and get rid of your hunger. So the problem was this whole situation, and the correct problem that you would identify is that we need to make a sandwich for myself. So the problem is we need to make a sandwich so that we can eat it as we are hungry. Let's change this I to, I would want to change this V to I because V doesn't suit fine to me. I need to make a sandwich so that I can eat it as I am hungry. So what I do see now is that I need to make a sandwich so that I can eat it as I am hungry. I would first try to understand the requirements. I would want to know that what are the things that I need for in order to make a sandwich. So understanding the requirements is basically like listing the ingredients for sandwich. So you are now going to list the ingredients that you need to make a sandwich. You would say that you would need bread slices, you would need some tomato ketchup, you would say that we need some chicken patty, you might say that we need some salad dressing, and that all. So that is basically these some of the few things that you need. You might not have, you may have all these things available at your home. Mostly these things are there in the kitchen. Also, one very important thing, you might need an egg and maybe some mayo as well. So let's say that these were the things that you needed. So understanding the requirement is basically like that. You list down all the things that you need, that you may need to solve your problem. So the problem was that we needed to make a sandwich, and we listed the requirements by listing the things that we need in order to solve the problem. So we needed all these things, and these are the things that we would use in order to solve our problem. So the next step comes is writing an algorithm. When we say that we have to write an algorithm, it's basically we need to write a recipe to make a sandwich. Generally, if we do not know how to cook something, what we are going to do is list down its recipe step by step, what are the things that we need to do, and after that we can just follow these steps and solve our problem. Right now at this step, what we would need is the first thing: toast the bread. First step, see, recipe is always numbered. Similarly, algorithm is always numbered. It has a particular sequence. Now when we are listing the requirements, we may not have to follow a sequence. Like we can say that we need tomato ketchup first and bread slices later, but in the recipe or in an algorithm, you have to have all these things in a particular sequence. Like you first need to toast the bread. After that, after you are done toasting the bread, you would follow the second step: fry the patty and egg. The third step that you would need is put tomato ketchup on the toasted bread. After that, you will go to the fourth step, and the fourth step would be here: place the fried patty on top of the bread, add some salad. After that, put the fried egg on top of the salad. Seventh step would be put some mayo at the top. Last step would be put the other bread slice on it. After that, it's up to you that you'd want to write one more step, that would be that cut the sandwich from the middle, present it with tomato sauce or the dressing, so anything that you want, that's up to us. Next thing is coding. So when we listed down these steps that we have to follow, we made an algorithm. So what do you think would be the coding now? Who wants to tell something? Just raise your hand. What do you think would be the coding now? इस एग्जाम्पल के अकॉर्डिंगली हम लोग कोडिंग में क्या काम करेंगे? So what we are now going to do is follow the recipe that we had listed above and physically prepare the sandwich, physically make the sandwich, and that would be the part where you have coded everything now. So coding is like physically actually trying to solve the problem. Before that, you were just planning to solve the problem, and in the coding part, you actually solve the problem. So every part before coding is just like planning. It's all about planning, like, but coding is like physically doing that. So in the coding part, you would follow the recipe and physically make the sandwich, and that would be coding. So last part is testing, and that is my most favorite part. What do you think would be done in the testing phase? Examples.
You will eat the sandwich.
Yes, you will eat the sandwich, and what would you do after that? Testing is basically not like just using the code that you have written. Testing has a very important factor also. Just try to guess it, try to be inquisitive, try to think about it. What do you think we would do when we are testing? We will eat the sandwich, and what will we do next?
We will
Sorry?
we will see whether it is good. We will see whether it is good or not.
Yes, Mohammed bin Naveed, you are right. So first what you are going to do is test it. Testing this sandwich would mean that you will eat this sandwich, and figure out what are the good things about the sandwich, what are the things that are not very good and can be improved. So testing is that part, that you are going to eat the sandwich, and after that, what you are going to do next is figure out what are the things that you can improve. Like maybe you fried the patty, but you overcooked it. It became so brown so that it was almost like it was burnt. So next time you would see that I do not have to do it like this. I would have to merely keep it a little softer. Another thing would be that you put a lot of ketchup on the sandwich and it made it taste very sweet. Another thing can be that you did not, let's say, cut the bread very properly, and it was one part of the sandwich was small and one part of the sandwich was big. So testing is like the last part, but it is one of the most important parts. Everything that you have done so far, there is always a room for improvement in that can be made better. So testing is the part where you would eat the sandwich, taste it, figure out what are the things that you need to fix in that so that you can make it again. And whenever you make it again, you can keep those things in mind and make a better sandwich next time. So testing, you will eat the sandwich and figure out what is good in the sandwich and what can be improved. So that is what you are going to learn through this example. Okay. So in this example, I have written down, I have made a comparison of the problem solving steps with a very simple example that we want to make a sandwich with that. So let's save it. I will save it as problem solving example and save it as a PDF. Just need to see where I saved it. And I'm sharing it in the group. So that you can read it on your own. Now, is there anything that you guys want to ask me? Abdullah, that's very
No.
good. That's very good, Bache. The things that you have shared are very
No.
good. Yes, Yavez, you want to ask something?
Sir, can you open that screen? I mean that we have to do the same work that you have written that.
I have already sent it in the group. You can see it from there. You don't have to do anything today. I'm not giving you any work to do today. We are going to start practicing coding from the next week, so don't worry about that. Is there anything from this lesson that you want to ask?
I'm gonna.
Hello. Okay. There is only like 1 minute left for this class. So if there is anything that you guys want to ask, you can ask. Heba, do you want to ask
No.
something? Did you
No.
understand everything?
Yes.
So can you make a sandwich?
Yes.
And can you tell me what are the parts, what are the steps that you would do to make a sandwich? So do you understand what is identifying the problem? What is understanding the requirements? What do you do in all these steps? Okay, that's
Yes.
great. That's great. That's great. Zara, you want to say something, bache? Josefa, good. I hope that you have understood everything.
No, sir.
Okay, Rida,
Yes.
do you want to ask anything? Have you understood everything, bache?
Yes.
Okay, great. There's only like 30 seconds left in this class now. So I'm ending this. I have also recorded this lesson. I would share the recording with you as well. Thank you so much for joining today. I will see you